It's Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. Let's answer your mailbag questions on your Seattle Seahawks. We'll get to that in a moment. First, though, got to make sure you subscribe so you, too, can be a part of these mailbag segments. People ask me all the time, Tyler, man, how do I get to be involved in these mailbag segments? You guys do them every week, but I'm just not sure. Well, if you subscribe to the channel and you join us for our live shows that we do on Wednesdays, then you can send in your questions using hashtag Seahawks or super chatting. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and you too can be a part of our next mailbag segment here on the channel. Ilona writes in, hashtag Seahawks, we are winning the division this year as long as we beat the 49ers, Cardinals, and Rams and swept them away. Ilona, I see what you mean, but that is a tall task. And this is what I continue to tell people as far as this goes. When people talk about the Seahawks record and against the division and all that stuff, you have to keep in mind respect for your opponent, okay? The Niners are an excellent football team, one of the best in the NFC. The Rams, I think, are going to be improved from what they were last year. Cardinals are awful. They're one of the worst teams in the league. And I know I just said respect for your opponent, but Cardinals aren't that great. With that said, divisional games are always tough. You're going to get your best out of your opponent every time in a divisional game. So I don't think that you have to sweep everybody to win the division, but I don't think it's realistic to have that expectation to just go undefeated in the division with how good the Niners are, with where we expect the Rams to be. We'll hold the phone on that. They're going to be contending for this division, but I think sweeping the whole division would be a bit of a stretch. We'll see. Adriano says, who is most likely to surprise us all in a positive way? Maybe someone who we do not really have high expectations for right now. Great question. Surprise us in a positive way that we don't have high expectations for? I would say and this is more so me just hoping this happens. I really hope Dee Eskridge can find a way to come through for this Seahawks team. The measurables, the talent looks like it's there, but he hasn't been able to put it all together. Obviously, he's had health issues and all that. He's not going to be your number 1, number 2, or 3 receiver. If he can be that number 4, if you can use him as a guy on special teams, whatever it may be, I would love to see Dee Eskridge break through and be that second-round pick that we saw a couple of years ago. And, it's sad, but it's reality. Every time I get on the internet and I'm reading from these blogger boys, I feel like that I see every fourth article is who the Seahawks could have drafted instead of Dee Eskridge. And for Dee's sake, I hope that I don't have to read too many of those articles anymore, that we see Dee break through and prove why the Seahawks drafted him when they did. Next question comes in. What Seahawks players do you expect to have breakout seasons? I got a few names for you that I think are going to be standouts and potentially surprise some folks. Start with Jaxon Smith Njgiba. I know there's some concerns about him coming off the hamstring injury, but he looks 100%. He's exactly what the Seahawks need in the slot. I think Jaxon Smith Njigba is going to be great. Devon Witherspoon, I think that he is immediately going to be good. That you'll start him at outside corner and that he is going to create turnovers and have an instant impact right away. And I think we very well might see the Seahawks put him on opposing offense's top receiver, potentially. I think what you could say is let Tariq be your, fly-around ball hawk guy to go make those turnovers. And sure, he gives up some big plays at times, but create those turnovers. And then let Devon be your lockdown guy, the Revis Island type thing of sorts on the top receivers. I expect those two. And then one guy that I'm rooting for that I'd like to see have a breakout year to come through of sorts, that I think the talent's there, but he underachieved last year. And granted, everything's about opportunity too. Noah Fant. I think Noah Fant, his talent level is right up there with some of the better tight ends in the league, but he hasn't fully put it together. I'd like to see Noah Fant. It's a contract year for him. He's playing to prove what he's worth here. Noah Fant, take that next step, because here's the deal. After this upcoming season, Seahawks aren't keeping both Will Dissly and Noah Fant. One or both's got to go. So not only are you playing for your next contract, you're playing for your roster spot, essentially. Noah Fant, the pressure's on. Let's see him take that next step and get it done. Name a breakout player for the Seahawks this year. I named a few guys. Now it's your turn. Name a few players who you think the Seahawks will have as breakout performers in 2023. We know the Seahawks are going to be wearing throwback gear at least a couple times this year. And what better way to be representing your Seahawks than to get your own throwback gear? We got the Tommy Bahama shirts. We got the long sleeves, which you need quite a bit if you're in Seattle, dealing with that cold weather from time to time. And it looks great. I love the AFC logo and those colors and those days, folks. The good old days, right? Here's your chance to represent your favorite team, to be looking like an OG, and to get it at a discount. 60% off. It's a great deal. What are you waiting for? Chatsports.com/Seahawks gear to get yours today. That's chatsports.com/Seahawks gear. Next question. Trade D for a linebacker or a D lineman. Here's the other thing with Dee Eskridge. As far as one of the things of why the Seahawks need him to succeed and perform, there's not a trade market for Dee Eskridge. Nobody's going to give you hardly anything. You'd be lucky to get anything for Dee Eskridge at this point. More than likely, if you're going to move on from him, you probably release him, if we're going to be quite frank. So that sounds like a nice idea in theory. Like, oh, yeah, let's get a linebacker. Let's get a defensive lineman. But, no, it would be very surprising if that were to happen. Adriano, can we give Pete a lifetime contract maybe? I don't think that's in the cards. I do think Pete is better than what he's given credit for. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He is one of the best coaches in the National Football League. Lifetime contract, I'm very curious how much longer Pete's going to do this. I would think that he goes a couple more years, might even stay within the organization of some sorts even after he's done. But lifetime contract, I don't think that's happening. But Pete, give him credit where credit's due. He's done a really good job in Seattle as far as I'm concerned. JSN for MVP, the last question, writes in. What should be the realistic expectation for Geno Smith this year? I think the floor for Geno should be to do exactly what he did last year. 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I think, and all those yards. It was near 70% completion percentage. To do what he did last year, that should be the floor. It should start right there. Now, I think that he can improve upon that. And everything we've heard throughout OTAs and minicamp and workouts and all that he looks better than he did last year. So the expectation, I think, should be at a minimum do what he did last year, but even be better upon that. And be the reason the Seahawks win games. Not be something that he's just along for the ride, a game manager. No, be the playmaker quarterback. $5 super chat coming in from Javin. Last one says, do the Seahawks make the NFC title game this year? Maybe. I can't confidently say yes or no just yet. Let's see. I do think that it's a 4-team race right now. Seattle, San Francisco, Dallas, and Philadelphia are the 4 teams I'm watching for in that conference in the NFC. I owe the DK song for that. So as we ask you this final question, I'll save the song here for you. Will Geno Smith be a Pro Bowl quarterback again? Why for yes and for no? What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Javin, thanks for the super chat. Chomping, carols, chomping, Geno passes. No one stopping. DK. Touchdowns all day. He rules. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here on the channel.